Welcome to Traffic Jam. My name is Leroy, and man, look that beautiful, beautiful theme song. As you know, The Rock, the final boss. Good morning, y'all. Welcome to Traffic Jam. My name is Leroy, and I know I said that twice, but this is gonna be a good show today, and I hope everybody has a good weekend and hope everybody has a good Sunday to end the week and go into Monday, which is brutal um, in the middle of July. This is going to be very a great show today, and I feel so good about this. This is going to probably be a different live stream that I ever done, so I'm gonna get right to it, and this is going to be a deep dive on this one. Now, I did make the title call The Rock Must Save the WWE. And I'm going to tell you why. As you know that WWE is having a midlife crisis right now. Um, as you know, I was talking about last week's show that they don't know what they want. And you know, SummerSlam is like around the corner and they're struggling to freaking sell these tickets, man. And I'm looking at it right now. It's like from night one to night two is averaging 22,000 tickets for that show, man, which is cool and all, but that arena holds by at least 50 to 75,000 in that arena, man. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, in where the Minnesota Vikings play at in the dome, man. It looks really cool there, but at the same time, they're not selling out, man. And it's a problem, man, with these headache storylines, the boring feuds. I could talk about CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes is going to face at SummerSlam, which it may change to a fatal four way with to add Gunther and Sami Zayn, which they should do it, which is an easy one. And then Oba Family versus Brock Lesnar at the Hell in a Cell. And I'm hearing that they might make it as the first match instead of the main event, man. And this is my theory that Brock Lesnar want to get it over with so he doesn't have to spend time being in that arena. And you know, he's from there, so he can just get it over with and just go down the street from his Big Hughes ranch. As you know, if you see this man's ranch, man, it's really unique, man. And Brock Lesnar was smart with his money, man. He really is. And I could talk about the other matches, but I'm not gonna get to it. This is gonna be about The Rock today. And I know everybody's not a fan of what he's doing right now because he's promoting his movie and you know his political stance in this. I'm not gonna talk about this. I'm just gonna talk about the character, The Rock, the final boss. I'm sorry, the final boss, the people's champ, and tell you why he needs to save this freaking company as it is. Now, I'm just gonna do something simple. Now, everybody knows The Rock is part of TKO, the board of directors, with his buddies with Nick Khan, Mark Shapiro, and Ari Emanuel on this crew, man. And he's needed for to save this show, man, because he has to make sense all of this. Now, the last time we saw The Rock, man, he was at Elimination Chamber when he, well, I would say not obliterate, but just give him the whipping to Corey Rhodes because he refused to join him and be, like I said, his champion, man. And then that's when the John Cena heel turn was the probably the biggest heel turn moment in WWE history. And that's the last time we saw him, man. We didn't see him in WrestleMania 41, and we didn't see him in WrestleMania 42, man, after this, to make sense of all of this. And I always say this: the road to WrestleMania 43 begins. I know this is in July. I know we got like close to a year away from this, but this is gonna be a big one. And I'm just gonna just do a little tiny mix of things. Now, TKO versus WWE Creative has been a issue um for the past few years since TKO took over this is they don't know what they want to be at the end of the day. And I like what are they trying to do? And I know I said everything is like hating on there. Just I'll make sense of this. WWE and creative is doing the best they can, but I just feel like they just are trying to bring more wrestling than actual TV, man. And I understand what they're doing, but I think TKO has the power. And I always say they have the last say. If everybody knows, the last time they did a move is when they brought Pat McAfee, which was it backfired just a little bit for this. And when Pat McAfee told the truth about the WWE, what they're doing is that they have a you know what back in the room as when Cody Rhodes was on SmackDown as when the ratings were down, man. And it was crazy. And it made people may not like it, but he told dang truth. That's why Pat McAfee told the dang truth about what is wrong with the WWE. And I could talk about LA Knight last week. He said it's boring as it is, man. And TKO has that pull that nobody has ever done before. Is the reason why that is a struggle in this company, man. And I always say this: Vince McMahon, if everybody knows Vince McMahon, was the top dog. And when I would say he was the original final boss as it is, because, and I always say this: he done a lot of good and he done a lot of bad, man. And he was the last say of what they want to do, with the direction of the company. Which not only he was a businessman first, but he always put WWE first at all times, man. And he did a damn good job with that. But currently, since he's left, and he's finding these allegations still, is that TKO versus WWE has a struggle what they want to do with this company. And I feel like The Rock would need to, once his movie is done, needs to come back and save this show, man. Because it's just that he has to make sense of all of this, what's going on. Because they need to finish with Cody Rhodes, if what he needs to do, and also CM Punk when he was talking smack about The Rock, call him a bar fraud and all that. Roman Reigns, is it going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns? I'm not sure about this because I wish they would have done this. Now, I thought about that back in the day. I was like, I don't know about that. But thinking about it 2 years later, they should have done it, man, at WrestleMania 40. Just they need to do it. But, the Cody Rhodes crybabies were in the flesh. And that's when it all began, when their reign as Cody Rhodes crybabies were in the flesh and was ruining things as it is. And it's being sincere as it is today as it is. And I always believe The Rock is the real head of the table. I know everybody's think Roman Reigns is the head of the table, the OTC, but the head of the table in this whole situation is The Rock, the final boss. And I just wish this man could be like, I'm not saying he has to be like Vince McMahon, but be like a chairman of the WWE. Because Vince McMahon, the character is, I would say he's the greatest heel in WWE history. It's not even close, and he would fit right in to be in that mode of, and I'm talking about The Rock, to fit that moment. And I could see it if you could just build him, if you could just make him as a character on the show. I truly believe those viewerships will go to the millions. Like, I'm not saying to hit 10 or 12 million, but I would say at least on a good day, 3 or 4 million on a good day when he's on that show. Because he's huge in that company as it is. Because I could do the history on this guy in this whole entire video, but I'll do a short thing. He went from Rocky Maivia to when he joined, and then he was getting blisterated as a babyface, and then once he changed his gimmick, he joined the Nation of Domination. Everybody knows Karma, aka Godfather, Ron Simmons, Farouk, and D'Lo Brown, and then also later Mark Henry, and God rest his soul, Owen Hart, which he was underrated in that group, man. And then after that, he disbanded that. He went to join the corporate administration, or I say the Ministry of Corporation, if you want to talk about that, with Vince McMahon when he made him a champion. And then all of a sudden, when he had that feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania, I believe it was, if you just, okay, I'm just going back, 16, 15, I would say 15, and he lost to Stone Cold Steve Austin. and then he was that's when he became the most over wrestler at that time when he betrayed the Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon and became a babyface for a while, man. And then I could go on and on. The People's Champ, running Rave, get and feuding with Triple H, and I'm gonna talk about Triple H versus The Rock in the moment. And I still to this day they do not like each other at the end of the day, man. And then also took his time off to go to Hollywood, as you know that people weren't feeling about that when he left, and then he came Hollywood, The Rock, which is probably his, I would say his second best gimmick, probably in WWE history. I people may not liked it, but back in those days, man, he was a chicken shit heel. He really was, man, and he was making everybody like they still. I mean, they were booing him, but they love him at the same time, man. And it's rare that he did that, man. And then all of a sudden, he went and put over Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. If everybody watched that feud, that was great. And then he had a feud with Goldberg for a moment, a little bit with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then with Hulk Hogan, God rest his soul. And then he went back to Hollywood after that. And then he came in, did appearances after that, and then had a feud with John Cena like a decade later, which it was probably the most underrated one, even though people weren't feeling like that. Um, you get the idea, man. And then like be with Roman Reigns, which give him the it was I think it was wrestle like not wrestling, but Royal Rumble 2015 when he put his hands on when Roman Reigns won, and he got that confusion in his face that they were booing the crowd. I mean, Roman Reigns back in the day was getting hated because Vince McMahon pushed him really hard as a babyface, but they weren't convincing at that time. And then he went back, did appearances there and there, and then probably like 2023 to 2024, like towards the end 2023 2024 is when he had a feud with they were supposed to have the WrestleMania 40 with the Roman Reigns and The Rock, and then that whole mess with that press conferences. Cody Rhodes interfered with that, and then The Rock was like, you're messing with his blood, you're messing with my blood, and now we have a problem. And he had to feud with Triple H. I think that was a shoot. It's like telling him, hey, tell me if he did that again. Tell me he disrespect his family. And he said, I'll smack the what out of him. Which I believe it was a shoot, man. And everybody think it was a work, but it was like a mix. I would say work in a shoot, man. And what I talk about that John Cena Hill and look where he's at today as the TKO board of directors, man. Yeah, I know I went a long time with this, but that's the final boss, man, of his career, man. And it's crazy that he's doing, and he's in this position as he is. And I'm gonna go back with Triple H, and I'm talking about Triple H, the game, that damn good, the cerebral assassin, the CCO of the company, is trying to do everything he can to take control of this. And I said this, Triple H was trying to think he was going to be the guy making these decisions once Vince McMahon gone. And I said this, who had the last laugh? The Rock that you see on the screen, the final boss, got the last laugh of who's taking control of this company. And it's sad that these two do not like each other. I just wish they could put their difference to the side. But Triple H was trying to get rid of The Rock during those days in the 90s, like with HBK, with DX and the crew. And and then The Rock did some, I think he did some planning like this for when he went to Hollywood, like a 20-year plan, like, okay, I'm gonna get with my crew with Nick Khan. And then once Adrian Mayo came around, and then the last piece of this, Mark Shapiro, was the equivalent of creating TKO as it is today. And I just wish they could do something with The Rock when he comes back. Now, I wish, and then I could do a observation of when, and everybody knows Saudi Arabia is going to host at WrestleMania 43, and they say they'll give him as much money as him coming back. But the Rock is making at least, I would say, an estimate of $60 million where he's at in his position as the board of directors. But Saudi Arabia can get as much money as they can, and they got unlimited money, man. And if they give him as much money as can once his movie stick is done, He is gonna come back. There's no question about it. And I do believe this is in the works of things of him trying to save this show as it is to make sense of this. And TKO is very strategic in what they do because they're planning this for WrestleMania 43. I understand that people are not a fan of going overseas. The war's going on with this. I know that's kind of risky what they're doing, but they're all about the money, man. At the end of the day, they're all about the money. It's just that simple. And they always say this about Nick Khan. He wants revenue, ratings, and relevancy as it gets. And I'm just going to do like a mini section of doing a TKO faction, and I call it the boardroom. And I know it's going to be a lot to digest with these characters. Now, I understand that people may not like the character. This is just my booking of things, how I want to book them. And I got the characters who could join the faction. Now, I put big question marks sometimes. I'm just going to give you the characters who could join the boardroom. Tiffany Stratton, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, Jade Cargill, maybe Seth Rollins, but I'm not sure about that. The Vision, if you could book them right, and I'll use a bonus of this, Gunther as their guy, as an enforcer. And they could feud with like a bunch of people like CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, if you want to put them in the mix. Maybe Drew McIntyre at some point. I could see him go over there to put their different side to take down, like they say, the establishment, to fuel one another between the struggle of the wrestling side of things and the business side of things. Which, if everybody could make an example of the ministry of the corporate ministry, could be similar to that, like what TKO is as today. Wear the suits, tailor-made, and their outfit could be all black, green, gold. You get the idea, like the Evolution days at that time, man. And they could do something with this, because they need to take risks as it is. It seems like with the boring, stale as it is, and I always say the gorilla position with Michael Hayes and Bruce Prichard and Triple H is just slowly making these adjustments of molasses of fused with the current ones that I talked about earlier, man. And people are not going to come back for that, man, if you're going to continue with this role, man. Now, I do see that the unsung hero could be a part of this if they book him right, is Obafemi and all this as the unsung hero, which he picked neither side of this, who he's with and who is he against with. And if they just book him right, and I could put LA Knight as a wild card as it is in the mix, but you get the idea, man. And I just think they need to do that storyline because I just believe the real shoot with TKO, what they doing with these high ticket prices, and these high demands of credibility with the company in the feud with the fans in the crowd, man, is still to this day is they could build something into this if they just go out of their shell and make it into a real life situation, which they rarely do at this show, man. Which they try to keep themselves in that freaking bubble, man. And I'm talking about the wrestling bubble. And they need to take this as it is with the show, man. And I understand The Rock these days is so hated because of his political stance. With his position where he's at, he doesn't take the business seriously. I think deep and down inside, I do believe he does take it seriously. He's just a busy man at the end of the day. It's just that he wanted to be a movie star first thing first when he first got there, and he had to start somewhere where it's the WWE, which was the WWF at that time, could do something, and now he got what he wanted throughout his life, and now he wants to be, and he is the biggest movie star, one of the biggest actors in the world right now. Like that, it's facts, man. I'm just being real with y'all, man. He accomplished everything he wanted. Now you could talk about his humiliation ritual with the Gallica and wearing that dress and all that stuff, and his little stance. And what I said earlier several times in this, it's not a fan of what he is, man. But who cares as it is, man? I'm talking about The Rock, the character, the final boss as it is on WWE's product is needed to save this freaking show, man. Because it's just, the show is so stale as it gets, man. I just believe The Rock would make sense of all of this if he could just come back I'm not saying he has to wrestle, man. I'm not asking The Rock to wrestle. He doesn't need to wrestle me. He doesn't have nothing to prove. But just to be like a public figure in the WWE, be like, and I wish he could be Vince McMahon because he has that pull, he has that cachet of getting things done and how to run the business. Should be involved in this as it is, but he's just doing other things as it is, and the fans are pissed off about this guy. I know they're gonna say, "Oh, we don't need The Rock, we're fine as it is." Well, look at the ratings, man, and look at the tickets prices, and tell me why people are not coming back as it is, because we have these boring feuds, these boring storylines, these I don't make these sense, these desperation moves of trying to get people back on the product, man. And they need to do something with this. And I understand people are not a fan of things that they see on the show. I understand there's like the marks think everything is good, okay, and then you got these plants like a Dave Meltzer, and I'm just gonna give him just a little. I'm not saying shout out, but I'm just gonna say Dave Meltzer, this those other people, those plants that you talk about is raving about everything good about the product, which I do believe, and I could talk about AEW about being in their pockets, but this is going to be about The Rock, the WWE. Needs to save this as it is, because it's just that they need to do something to make sense of out of this. But I feel like they're pointing the finger at The Rock because he does not. He needs to be there because he has to make sense of all of this. And I truly believe they're just planning this as it is. I truly believe this is going to be the road to WrestleMania 43 when he comes back. And I truly believe TKO will do this because they are smart people. They're not stupid people in that company as it is. And I always say that they're not wrestling people. The only people that is a wrestler, has a wrestling mind, is The Rock, the final boss. And I just believe they need all this comes into fruition, booking these shows, man. And it, like, they need to do something, man. They really do. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. I understand I could do a long video about The Rock. I just believe him, The Rock, must save the WWE because it's coming stale every week, man. And they're struggling to sell out SummerSlam. And Money in the Bank is around, which is crazy that they're going to have Money in the Bank after that. And I always say Money in the Bank is a wild card event because whoever gets the briefcase. Now, I hope it's not Jey Uso. I hope it's not any of those other guys that you talk about, Seth Rollins and those guys, and you know what, man. I just believe in my sense is that who needs it is a Braun Breaker or LA Knight in the men's division. And I could talk about the women's division, but it's the women's division is so poorly done as it is. I just believe they do need a women writer that does women writing persona as think about a woman. But I just feel like men who writes the women's segments doesn't understand about being a woman, man. And they just need to mix some things in there. But it's gonna be about The Rock, the final boss. He needs to save this show when he comes back once his career is over with the movie stint, to make sense of all this. Because The Rock, the final boss, regardless what people think about this man, he's one of the I think he's the Mount Rushmore of all wrestling. Now you could put everybody else: Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, Randy Savage. You could put him in there. I mean, there's a bunch of people, man. But The Rock is in that Mount Rushmore of all Mount Rushmore of the WWE. And he made an impact on this product as it is. Because without The Rock, man, and a bunch of people that's involved in this, WWE wouldn't be where it is today. I'm just being real, man. So I'm just gonna say about The Rock. He needs to save this show. He really needs to save this show. I'm dead serious, man. He really does. Now I'm just gonna do something different with this, with the outro of this. Let me go. Thank you all for tuning in, and you have a good one. Man, this is good. Thank you, guys.